All right, now let's get Sydney off mic. Now, Sydney, I have to read this, okay? This is one of my favorite descriptors. Beloved, because it so fits you, by the way. Beloved by the beauty industry and anyone in her orbit, Sydney Berry has been a beauty industry leader for more than 50 years, known as the delightful, not just the Queen Bee of Beauty, but the delightful Queen Bee of Beauty. She was recently honored by HairToStay for her advocacy. Sydney is the previous owner of Seattle-based distributor Salon Services Pro, so she had an exit from a distribution company. And now she's chair of the PBA Board of Directors. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I am great, and I'm so excited to be here.
When I was talking to you yesterday, you just kept throwing these nuggets out. I was in my car. I was trying to work out. I was running out of paper. And at the end, it's like some of your best stuff came out, you know, and I don't even know where to start with you anymore. So that's not actually true, because you threw on some things about Jane Goodall and something you recently went to. So we're going to touch as much as we can today. Okay.
Okay.
I think first and foremost is for us to, just like when I was on with Wynn last week, I had seen Wynn about a month before. And, you know, there was impact and, you know, to things we experienced together by being part of an event he's hosted. You're the chair of the PBA now. And the executive summit was 3 weeks ago.
Yes.
That is your biggest event of the year, and you're the chair of that. Was that a big sigh of relief to have that behind you?
No, it was so excellent. It's so wonderful to get people together to be able to exchange energy, because that contagion of energy and wanting to thrive and share and engage with others is so palatable when you come together. And the speakers this year, including your beautiful daughter, Erin, really brought a huge amount of new energy and thought. With Brian Solis, who I've been following for so many years, he's in the tech industry, and I thought that's what he'd be speaking to, but in reality, he spoke to culture, as did Heather McGowan. She spoke to culture and the generational tiers and what each generation will be bringing forward as they are in the organizations that they're in. And so that was exciting, as well as Larissa from NPD, who shared data about beauty. And beauty definitely is holding up. The lipstick factor is still there as people continue to see beauty in self-care and wellness, as well as cosmetics and hair and such. So, and besides the fact that our industry is the essential industry, it is the industry where we are the day makers. We make a difference in every service we provide.
You know, PBA has been on my mind lately, and, you know, there's been some big changes there. And I don't know, I think it might be lost on the majority of people. I don't think they realize how significant of a step PBA is taking. And essentially PBA, I'm going to give it my own words, over the many decades, I don't know how many decades I've been involved in PBA or its predecessor, too many. It's really has in recent years been very much an events organization. I mean, it's been the dominant part of the revenue, dominant part of the staff and all of that. But meanwhile, PBA needs to serve as an advocate, needs to provide data, has, you know, so what's going on? So what's the shift in simple terms, and what does that mean to all of us?
In simple terms, it is so very exciting. It is something that when we created PBA decades ago, we merged the vendors, the distributors, the salons, and the stylists together. And with that merger, we brought with us multiple shows and an association conference called Cosmoprof. And with that, it was something that when we started PBA, we recognized that we needed to create the association member value, but at the same time, what we had was a commitment to create these events and shows. And so it ended up being something of a dilution to what it was that we wanted to truly bring to PBA members was resources. And the opportunity arose for us and Fiora Bologna to join together with Informa. So we have partnered together with these units so that we can be free of participation or the creation of all of those events. We will still participate, but at the same time, it's not something that's going to derail us from what our intentions truly are, which is to be the member resource. And right now we're working so diligently within PBA, which COVID sent us on a whole different track as well. I am so very proud of everything that PBA did in the course of the 2.5 years of COVID, because everybody within the staff created outreach and virtual platforms of information. It was technical in nature, it was sanitization in nature, it was everything that we needed to do to be able to have a connection while we were all remote. And so PBA really rallied and created a strong structure, which was great to have. And then moving over to this new structure right now, we're looking at member value and partnerships and collaborations with so many different entities. Qnity is one of them, working with the health benefits is another, buying groups is another. We're looking to put together collaborations where we invite people to come to regional areas where we would have a meeting of the minds of sort, where we could share the strength of one another, much like what you do with this lightning moment that you have, this lightning bulb. What I'm so impressed with Qnity has continuously arisen to the trials and tribulations of this industry by creating the seminars that they do with the Phil and creating Qnity 10 and Qnity itself and working with schools right now. It's the comp study. I am so proud to have witnessed everything that has just really arisen and you have embraced and challenged, and everybody that belongs to Qnity. I'm so impressed to be able to have gone to the Phil and to see the level of continuous commitment to raising the tide, because all boats rise when we raise the tide and we have a stronger purposefulness. And one of the biggest strengths that I see is creating the culture of strength, because as I was a stylist and a salon owner 50 years ago, and I felt so alone. I didn't know where to find answers. And that's what's been so wonderful to witness what it is that Qnity has done, because they have created that opportunity to be able to share and to learn from one another. And that's the contagion that we need within this industry, because we're not competition with one another. We are the strength of one another. And so that's what I see in what we're doing with PBA. And it's just been so, it's energizing when you're thinking about new starts and new shoots, which is exactly what it is that we've been doing with Qnity, as we have been arising in the same way that you did to be able to respond to what it was we needed. With COVID, we had COVID relief and we raised millions of dollars to be able to help salons in that path. With disaster relief, we've done the same to meet the hurricanes and our stylists and our salon owners that needed the financial wherewithal to be able to come back. And so that was another entity that we do. And we also do Cut It Out, We have Cut It Out and Strength and Beauty and Ambassador Program. And so we're always looking for new ways to be able to thrive. And NAHA Executive Summit, Cosmoprof, and all of the different classes that we're continuously offering beyond Executive Summit. And I would encourage any salon owner that has the opportunity to come to Executive Summit to come, because it really allows you to network and to be able to connect with others that are vendors and distributors and salon owners, to be able to create the entity that we want to have PBA become, because PBA is shallow without the experience of others.
Well, you're shaking things up, and I do want to acknowledge and thank you for some of the acknowledgments about Qnity, and hopefully Lisa, JP, Sonia, Michelle, Marie, and all the people are hearing those kind words. So thank you for that. It wasn't lost on me and appreciated. You know, there's the queen bee, but I have maybe some other ways of describing. I mean, you're such a collaborator, and I want to acknowledge you for that. And I'm looking at some of the notes when I was sharing with you sort of my, you know, you're one of these people that gets stuff done. And when I say get stuff done, when Sydney calls, you pick up the phone. When Sydney says jump, you basically say how high. And we all feel that, and that's because of the trust you've earned, and you don't call in favors, you know, you do it for the good of all. And so you lightning rod, I think is a term. You're kind of a lightning rod in terms of getting stuff done. And that's a big deal. And how did you become such a, you know, there's an activist nature to you. I mean, you take action on stuff. Have you always been this way?
Initially, no. Initially, I was a shy hair designer, and it was so wonderful to be able to work one-on-one. And as I progressed through my career and started in distribution, I recognized opportunities to be able to have everyone come together. And when I came into distribution, I did what I had wanted to have happen while I was a salon owner. And that was, I formed a group of individuals to be able to share best practices. And I called it initially the Meeting of the Minds. And it was such a successful opportunity. We created a trust factor within that community by creating promises to one another that we would never hire another one staff member. If someone came to our salon that was in the group and said, I want to interview with you, you would say, well, did you tell your salon owner, because they are a part of my group? And if you didn't, I will be calling them and letting them know that you had approached me. So that allowed for trust, so much so that we were able to share our financials and best practices, whether it was onboarding, ongoing hiring, interviewing, how we created the process documents about how we entered into the salon and how we guided our clients throughout their environment, because so many times there's people that didn't know about robes and etiquette and where things were within the salon. And it really created a strength. As a matter of fact, Meeting of the Minds lasted for 25 years, and we held it every 6 weeks that we would all come together. And that also led us to join the TSA, the Salon Association, because we would have a minimum of 40 individuals that would come together to TSA. And then we would bring our light bulb moment back to the group, because one of the biggest challenges that we have always seen as a hair designer or a salon owner is you go to something like this and you come back home and your hot water heater goes out and somebody quits and something goes wrong. And so we end up taking care of what's necessary, and we put on hold what it is of working on our business. And this held us each accountable to that. And one of the things that I just wanted to bring to everybody's attention, the United States, through Ben Franklin, actually started with Junto. And Junto was a gathering of individuals that he would bring together every Friday night for, I believe he did it for 40 years. And Junto still is in effect now. And it was always about best practices, because we don't have all the answers, but together we do. And that, to me, is what's created the activist in me, is I see different things like HairToStay. I loved what they stood for, because to be able to help support with subsidy a cooling cap while you're going through cancer is an option that is not, there's not a lot of options when you have cancer. You just go down a journey, and to be able to have that option was so good.
We should let people know that this is personal to you. So
Yes, it is personal to me. I lost my hair in 1990 when I started with breast cancer with my first mastectomy. And then in 1994, another mastectomy, and 2009, another necessary surgery because I had regenerated cancer in my tissue, my breast tissue. And then in 2017, my cancer had metastasized to bone cancer. I have been on 16 different treatments since 2017, which also has allowed me to be an activist for cancer research as well. And we've raised a lot of money for vaccines for cancer, and for this HairToStay, which is cooling caps subsidies. In Europe, those subsidies are taken care of with cooling caps. The insurance pays for it. So they understand the dignity and the individualization that is lost when we have cancer, because cancer comes in the room before you do, and people don't know how to support you in that manner, because they want you to be okay. You want to be okay. When you step out of a shower in the morning and you re-put yourself together because you're missing body parts and hair and eyebrows and eyelashes, everybody in your world wants you to be okay, including you. And that's the projection you can give if you opt to be able to keep your hair. And so that was a great experience to be able to help to support. And our vendors and salons and stylists embrace this, because doctors want to save your life, and they don't see this as saving your life. And what they don't understand is that it saves your mental attitude, and it strengthens how it is that you approach the world. And that makes such a big difference. There was just an actress that she stated she was continuously able to work through her cancer treatment because she used cooling caps and was able to continue to work. It's those types of stories that we keep our clients while they go through cancer by sharing this information. So HairToStay is a big deal. What Dr. Nora Dissis is doing as far as vaccines, big deal. PBA, big deal. We've got so many different options, and really embracing and jumping and engaging into those things with future leaders. I've neglected to share that Erin is a big push on future leaders, and we're bringing in different individuals to share their jewels of wisdom with everyone. And they also have created mentorship circles. And we also have Beacon that I've neglected to share, that works with students before they graduate, and ongoingly we're having mentorship with our Beacon students so that they can onboard with strength of emotions going into our industry, because this is one of the most beautiful industries in the world. When we were shut down because we weren't essential, it really fired me up, because we are the most essential element that we could have because the touch that we have with these hands that touch us, whether it's skin, nails, hair care, we are the embodiment of the contagion of energy that we give and share with our clients, that many times we're the only touch that they may get. And we listen and we guide. And that's why we are the day makers, as David Wagner coined us, because we make a difference in the lives of others.
You know, when I was on with you yesterday, you know, here you sold your business and now you're involved in all different things, including generously giving your time in a lot of different ways. And you referred to someone as like your mentor. And I said, well, that's pretty clear. That's pretty cool. I mean, you know, when you think of mentoring, a lot of times you think, you know, that there's an expiration to it. You know, that mentoring is really that you reach in life, a point in life where you don't need mentors, you know, which is crazy. And I'm kind of maybe trapped into that thinking myself. So it kind of opened up yesterday, like, well, who's my mentors? And I started thinking, oh, I do have a lot of mentors, you know, but I thought that was pretty cool that, you know, here I'm talking to you, you've got a lot of wisdom, you got a lot of experience, and you just routinely say, oh, my mentor, you know. So you're a lifelong learner and you keep pushing the envelope. How many mentors do you have? And what's your theory of mentorship?
I think that that's why we're all alive, is to be a mentor to one another, to inspire, to be that torch. There's a saying that George Bernard Shaw said, and I totally believe it. And it is I want to be thoroughly used up when I die, for the harder I work, the more I live. I rejoice in life for its own sake. Life is no brief candle to me. It's sort of a splendid torch, which I have a hold of for the moment. And I want to make it burn as brightly as possible before handing it over to many generations. I believe it's my fierce responsibility to what it is that I have been given, the gift of life, to be able to share with others. And I believe that that's what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to be the provocateur and to be here to learn as much as I possibly can and to share it and to connect, because I don't hold the answers. I hold more questions. I am more of a provocateur, and I just want to continue to learn. And I learned more during COVID than I had in the 50 years in this industry. And I just take advantage, because people like you, Erin, I also consider a mentor. She is just so pragmatic and thoughtful in how she creates an environment where we come together and to learn together from her. And you are a provocateur, because you always have been, and always pushing the envelope so we can all strive to be better. Sam Mercado, who I saw was on here, he's always done the same. Linnell Lynch, amazing woman with Beauty Changes Lives and Unite as One. Your compensation study is rising all tides as far as illustrating what it is that we can do when we apply ourselves within this industry to be able to have it be the career we wanted, plus the financial wherewithal so we can do all the things we want to be able to do for our lives.
You know, you served a role in the compensation study that's a little bit private that only you and I know about, and that's you talked me off the ledge once. And we won't get in any details here. This is a private moment, but we literally, between phase 1 and phase 2, and I'm like, what did I get myself into? I started to project out what my next year looks like, and you and I had some very interesting and candid conversations that we won't reveal, but it was very helpful. So thank you for that, because it takes a village to you know, push something, get something started, and you know, once it gets going, you know, you still need a lot of pushing. So I want to explore one other topic with you before we bring Kevin up here. And you mentioned that you had just seen Jane Goodall. and you were all fired up. And you also spoke to me a little bit about her apple juice. So let's, because you were very inspired by that, and it's always nice to catch someone in the moment in terms of what's inspiring them right now. So a little bit about the apple juice, and then a little bit about Jane Goodall, and then we'll invite Kevin to the screen here.
Great. Well, I went to see Jane thinking that I would learn all about gorillas and chimpanzees that evening. And lo and behold, what she wanted to speak about. And she is an amazing speaker. At 88 years old, she walks up to the podium and she stands there so strong because she has a message that she wants to share. And it's about evolution, not revolution. And the evolution is that she has seen what it is that we are doing to this beautiful earth. And she has become an advocate extraordinaire of climate change, population explosion. She has witnessed it with her animals in Africa, whereas they lost so much of their jungle and it was destroyed and burnt and her animals were killed. And so she wants us all to be like the indigenous Indians that recognize that Mother Earth and humanity is connected. And what it is that we do to the earth affects us. And right now we're on the trajectory course that is not going to end well for the future generations unless we tap into making that change that is necessary for this planet. And so she talked the entire time about all these different stories that she witnessed on a global perspective due to this. And at the very end, she did share a chimp story, and it was so beautiful because this chimp had lived in an environment that had been devastated and was not thriving as a jungle. So they had pulled this chimp out and had brought him back to life and were releasing him into the jungle. And they opened the crate and the chimp just literally, you could just see how he responded to freedom. And then he went back to his veterinarian and he touched her and gave her a small hug. And then he jumped on top of the crate and Jane was standing next to it. And he reached out and he gave her the hugest silent hug. And it was a several minute hug. And then he lifted his head up and he looked into the jungle and he ran into the jungle. And you could just tell the gratitude that he had, that somebody he knew had a point in his life. And then she did a panel discussion that was so relevant to everything that she did, because nobody had ever done what Jane had done, to go from Britain to Africa, to land in there and to recognize the DNA that we model in humanity with animals. And then she started, somebody asked her about her apple juice. She says, it's whiskey. I have to have whiskey. The singers told me that when they sing, they need that to warm up their vocal cords. And so I have a sip of whiskey and it allows me to continue to talk, but everybody just teases me. It's Jane's apple juice. So I love that transparency and vulnerability that she had, and how well spoken, and how she sees women and our children and all of us together being able to rally in saving the world together and recreating what it is that we have lost and could re-find, because nature is so resilient, just as we are as humanity.
Well said. A great conclusion to a great conversation, and to our new member of our brain trust. All right. So I do need to formally award you $1 million light bulb. I realized, my gosh, you haven't been a guest on already. So thanks so much, Sydney. Let's everybody give her a virtual round of applause. Give her a little chat and love in the give her a little love in the chat. Sydney, you are just such an inspiration to all of us. The delightful Queen Bee of Beauty. So you're never going to live that one down. All right. Thank you very much. And Sydney, we'll talk to you very soon, I'm sure, before the holidays. So.